Welcome back, everybody, to episode 2 of the Outpack Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Grizancic, and today's episode, I was going to go through the top 5 modifications to make to your four-wheel drive to go off-road and even go camping with your friends. You see so many different things that people do to their car, whether they're on the road, what you see on other cars, or what you watch on YouTube or see on Instagram, and it's quite overwhelming and looks quite expensive after a while when you dabble in to see how much it is when you go to the shops, or you go to the ARB store, you see on Marketplace. It's quite overwhelming. You don't know where to start sometimes. So I'm going to take you through my journey with my car. I've got a 2013 Toyota Prado. It's still pretty stock. And to go off grid with some friends and also with the kids or even going camping, I made about some basic modifications in order to do that. It helped me get out off-road. It helped me go into some situations where I know I can get off safely. I always traveled with friends. I never really done the solo travel yet. That'd be another episode for another day. I haven't got any content for that because I've never done it, so there's no point doing an episode on something you haven't done before. But I'm just going to go through what I've done to my car and what I've seen other people do, and I believe they're probably the best modifications you can make to a car to go off-road safely, and also get yourself out of situations when things turn pear-shaped. Being a Melburnian, you know what it's like. 12 o'clock, it's nice and sunny and everything's fine. And 12:05 p.m., it's already rained 15 mil. So you always got to be prepared for the worst in any situation, whether you're going mud, whether you're going on the beach, whether you're going, somewhere dry. That could be muddy later. Even grass can catch you out. It's very interesting and can cause issues moving forward. But I'll start my first one. And the first one I did is I got a good set of all-terrain tires. So 90% of four-wheel drives, utes, everything pretty much come with a highway terrain tire. Even though they say all-terrain, you look at the tread and it won't take you off-road very well, safely. If you go on some shaly rock, you're more likely to not have the same amount of grip. If you want to deflate your tires, there's only probably a certain amount of limit every tire has to deflate to. You can't go off-road with a set of highway tires at full 40 psi and believe that you're going to be okay no matter what four-wheel drive system, locker or anything you have. You always want to deflate it safely. So you're not feeling the bumps as much and you've got extra tread on the road for when you're off-road, when you're traveling at a slow speed, of course. It can be done, but you got to be very, very careful and very picky of what you want to try out in your car. So the first thing I did is get a set of all-terrain tires. And if you've got a spare, always check your spare to see how old it is, because a lot of them are very old. My one, for instance, the badge says 1615. That means it was made on the 15th week of 2015. Being in 2022, it's time for an update because, yes, it will get you out of the situation when the time comes. But as we know, a lot of people travel on their spare tires for a fair bit by accident or just forget or don't have the time. We're in a very time-poor environment these days with the way the world is. So always recommend doing that is you update your spares as well. And even if you're going from say 265 60 R18 to a 265/65 R18, you highly recommend it to get the spare the same size as the 4 tires that you've currently got on your car as well. Just makes it safer, keeps yourself straight on the road, and just a logical thing to do, I believe. So I went a Hankook Dynapro back in 2018. I had them deflated to 20 psi, and I've had them on for nearly 60,000 kilometers, and I think they're due soon because they're just getting a bit tired. So I've never had an issue with them, never had a puncture. There's so many brands out there. It depends how much you want to pay. It depends how much you go off-road. Mine is 70 on, 30 off. I've done some pretty gnarly tracks with a stock Prado with those tyres, and I've never had an issue with them. So a 70/30 is not too bad for that weekend warrior work, a couple of days out in the bush or whatever you choose to do. I am pretty picky with the tracks I choose. My cars are 9 to 5 during the week, so I'm going to make sure that my car's getting home and able to go to work the next day, because if you don't have a car for work, you don't have a car for adventures, you don't have money for adventures because you can't get to work the next day or thereafter. And it can get expensive depending on which tracks you want to choose, whether you want to do some rock climbing. It's probably another story for another day, but yeah, that's the choice I made with my tyres. They're quite economical. I didn't see a difference much from highway to all-terrain when I swapped them over. And it handles beautifully on the road and in the wet. That, like I said, that's another day of people doing research on their tyres and how they drive day to day, what the vehicle is and what it does. So it's entirely up to you. But an all-terrain tyre with some good sidewall and also good grip is highly recommended prior going over off-road. My second one that I could put after that is a tyre deflator, an air compressor, and a puncture kit. So I've just got a cheapo King's air compressor. So when I let my tyres out with my tyre deflator, I'm able to pump it back up to go back on the highway. Don't recommend putting tyres down to 25 psi and going to the next service station, which could be 10 kilometers away, 20 kilometers away. You can get away with it, but you will do damage to the tyre. You could possibly do damage to the rim, and your car is definitely not going to handle the way it should. I've done this before, and I rooked it and, learned from your mistakes, I guess, and never did it again. So having a tyre deflator just to deflate the tyres back up to 38, 40 psi, depending on the recommendation of your car. And also having a tyre deflator to take the tyre down where it takes the valve out, twist the valve out, and you pull it out, allowing the air to go out to the desired deflation that you require. When I go off-road with Shailey Rock, I usually go down to 24 to 26 psi, just enough so the tyres don't puncture. It's a bit of a smoother ride because it's taking less of the bumps transitioned into the car. But more importantly, you got more traction on the rock as your tyres deflated. You're actually creating more area of the tyre onto the track, allowing you to have more grip, particularly when it's muddy. I've never driven on sand before, but I believe you can even go down 16 psi in sand. And yeah, that's probably the recommendation there. Also, going to super cheap order, buying like a $5 tire pressure gauge. It's just it looks like a little pipe with the end in it. You just tap it on the valve, and it shoots out tells you what instant PSI that your tires are. I keep that in the glove box as well, just as a safety check, because sometimes the gauges are incorrect. It's always good to have it back up, and for $5, it's a cheap insurance. Last but not least, I've got a puncture kit. I've got an ARB puncture kit, which has all the supplies to, if I have a puncture, I can put the little beads in to allow the tire to have hole to be filled. I obviously have a spare, but if you happen to have 2 punctured tires, that is always a $50 insurance policy to have in any car. It comes with including all the valves to replace in your valve kits. Spare caps, that go a long way, especially if you're off-road and you're going away from your campsite and it's a little bit remote. You've always just got that insurance policy sitting there in your cupboard, in your boot. I carry mine at all times. I carry it in the trailer because I'm using my trailer to go camping as well. So it's always handy to have. It's a quick fix, and you can fix a tire anywhere along with the help of your friends or yourself, depending on the way you are traveling. The third one that I recommend is having a handheld UHF or even some fixed communications fitted to the car. I've got a GME radio with 6.1 dBi antenna fitted to my car. I've had that since probably the second month I had the car, because I went off-road with some friends and I got a good deal at Anaconda. Even just having a little 5 watt or 2 watt handheld, even a 1 watt handheld will be great enough to have in the car. I actually carry that in the car as well. So if I'm going down a track and I need my friend to duck out of the car, look where I'm going, he can guide me with the UHF in his hand, and I can communicate to him via in the car. And also fun for the kids when they're on campsite. You can communicate with them. They can have it in their pocket while they're going out and having some fun with their friends or their siblings. And also it's a bit of a game as well. But more importantly, having a UHF in the car, if you're stuck and you can communicate to other fellow people on the track, if there's an emergency, you can always get out there and do what you need to do. Yeah, highly recommended, especially if you're traveling in a convoy with all your friends. You can say, I need to pull over, I'm stopped, I need petrol, have some banter on the radio as well between the convoy. Highly recommend, highly helpful, and also a bit of fun as well on the side. Number 4 on my list is recovery gear. Definitely carry some recovery gear when you're going off-road with your vehicle to help yourself out, help some friends out. You just never know when you're going to need it. You don't need it until you need it. I carry a snatch strap, 8-meter snatch strap, rated to 8 ton, a couple of shackles, some MaxTrax recovery boards. They're made of plastic. They've got like studs on the top to allow you to have more traction, particularly when you're lost traction or in the sand. Haven't done sand travel before, so I can't wait to do that one day. And also a recovery hitch. So it replaces the tow bar ball tongue of your tow bar, and you add the tongue with the shackle on it. Allows you to add another snatch strap to it to get someone help you get out of a situation from the rear, or also you can tow someone out. Only had to use mine once to help someone else out. Thankfully, I've not put myself in any gnarly situations where I've had to use any of my equipment to its extent, but it's always there when you need it. A few people have used my MaxTrax. I've used my MaxTrax before. They're probably one of the most versatile pieces of equipment that I carry with my car. Definitely would add that to the list. You can go to anywhere super cheap auto, BCF. There is some quality gear out there, some good pricing. Don't recommend any snatch straps secondhand. It's not really, you don't know the life of it from beforehand. So definitely buy just a snatch strap. It's about $50-$60 for a decent one. And you'll be laughing when you have the situation. You got the snatch strap there and you'll be happy days, definitely. I also have some recovery points bolted onto the front of my Prado. They're not the most expensive ones in the world, but they are there as a insurance policy for myself in the situation that I do require to use them. I haven't used them before, but they are there. They're not the best, but they'll do the job when the time comes. If it saves you once a year, it's a good year. I guess that line could be used anywhere. So definitely put that to your list. My final one for number 5 is some roof racks, or even one of those platforms. I've got a Rhino Rack Pioneer platform that is about 1.2 meters wide by 1800 millimeters long, or 1.8 meters long. I put my MaxTrax on that on the roof. I can carry my swag on the roof, my gas bottle when I travel with the family on the roof. I don't like carrying gas in the car. Better to be on the roof just in case of any leaks. You don't want to poison anyone in your vehicle. I highly recommend always carrying that out of the cabin. And also I've got some lights on there as well for when I go camping. But the basics to have, just to put your gazebo on the roof, your tent, your swag, even a waterproof bag for clothing. It just allows you to carry much more equipment from the cabin on the roof, and you got more room in the car for other things. These days, we're traveling a lot more with a lot more stuff. There's always a lot more gear, a lot more clothes, a lot more equipment that we need to bring when we go on camping trips. Depending how you pack, you can pack lightly, you can pack heavy, but having a roof rack for a couple $100 on your roof, it just makes your whole trip much more versatile and much more handier and easier to go away when you need to. So that rounds up the top 5 that I believe like your non-BS mods to go off-road. Some of the extras I could add into that I haven't added in my 5 is tools. Just carry some tools like some cable ties, screwdrivers, spanners, pliers, spare fuses for your car, for your whatever you may be using that require fuses. I've been in a situation where the fuse wouldn't allow me to start my car, and I had a spare fuse, plugged it in, and off I went until I can fix it at home or on the spot. So definitely carry some fuses that are according to your car. Go and ask an electrician, open your fuse box, do some Googling. That's all I did, and found what I required. And for $15, I can get myself out of the situation. I've got about 10 different rated fuses for my car that I have ready to go in the event of an emergency. Carrying an awning on the side of the vehicle on your roof rack allows you to have instant shade wherever you go. You just roll it out with a couple of poles and put it down so you can sit on the side of the road and have some lunch. You can roll your swag underneath it. An awning's quite versatile. They're quite cheap. A lot of brands like Anaconda, Kings, you can find them super cheap. You can find some decent ones off Marketplace from people upgrading for a good price. It's a pretty budget item, but a quite versatile item to have from sunshade to protect yourself from the sun. The sun's quite strong these days, and anything to protect yourself from there, I would highly recommend. So, having one of those would be fine. I have extra care roadside assistance from the standard roadside assistance. So the extra care from RACV or any equivalent who supply roadside assistance, it allows you to have, instead of the 25-kilometre towing, I've got 120 kilometres. That also includes the trailer that I carry. The roadside assistance will tow my trailer as well as my car. It allows you to have maybe some extra ones, allow you to have accommodation. Depending on what the cover, you got taxis covered, even accommodations partially paid for, depending on how much. There is so many different aspects of roadside assistance. If you do some research on it, and depending how far you're traveling, who you're traveling, and where you're traveling, it's just great to have that extra bit of cover for a small amount of money to be a bit more comfortable, especially with your kids. You got accommodation, taxi sorted, and everyone keeps at peace, and you try and keep a situation that's out of your control in the most peaceful manner, and still enjoy your trip, have fun with your family, and you learn from what happened next time, and hopefully get back on the road ASAP. And that sums up episode 2. I appreciate your time. I look forward to hearing your feedback, adding to our episode of what my top 5 were recommendations. I'd love to hear what you guys have done, any photos even, send it through to our social media platforms. We're on Facebook and Instagram at facebook.com, instagram.com/outpackpodcast. And also I've got an email, info@outpack.com.au. Please look forward to hearing some replies. We've got a few more episodes coming up with some recommendations, and we're also going to be doing some interviews. I'm also going to have a couple of friends come in and do a bit of a chitter-chatter of what we've done and what their experiences are from different aspects, from family camping, solo camping, even a couple of YouTubers who have got some subscribers and have viewed the world from their travels and online. I'm going to be interviewing them as well for some recommendations and some what they've seen on their trips and what they've learnt. So there's a lot more to come. Appreciate your time. Have a great day. Cheers.